The two men stood on the wooden deck, facing each other across the railing, their gazes locked in a tense, almost electric silence. The lake behind them was calm, its turquoise waters stretching out to meet the distant mountains, reflecting the bright sunlight in shimmering waves. To the right, the swimming pool glistened, its edges lined with lounge chairs, but neither of the men paid it any mind. Their focus was on each other, and whatever was about to be said next. The man on the left, slightly to the left of the center, was middle-aged and light-skinned, with a calm, neutral expression etched into his face. He wore a light gray, long-sleeved shirt that was slightly wrinkled and dark-colored pants that looked like they'd seen better days. His hands rested on the railing, one holding a white mug, steam curling lazily from its surface. His eyes, steady and unblinking, seemed to weigh every word before it escaped his lips. The man on the right, slightly to the right of the center, was also middle-aged and light-skinned, but had a much more animated presence. His messy light brown hair fell over his forehead as he leaned slightly forward, his eyes wide with a mixture of surprise and anger. He wore a lavender-purple hoodie and matching sweatpants that looked comfortable, but his posture betrayed his agitation. His mouth was open, words spilling out like a dam had burst, his voice rising in a mixture of shock and defiance. "I'm telling you, I'm not under HOA rules," he snapped, voice louder than intended, eyes blazing with frustration. "You can't just tell me what I can or can't do on my own property. This is my house." The man on the left raised his eyebrows slightly, his expression remaining neutral but his grip tightening around the mug. "Calm down," he said calmly, voice even. "No one's trying to take your rights away. I'm just saying." "Just saying?" The other man cut him off, voice rising even more. "You think I care about what you're just saying? I've had enough of this nonsense. I pay my dues, I follow the rules, but now they're trying to tell me I can't do what I want in my yard? That's bullshit." The tension between them was palpable. The sunlight cast long shadows on the deck, accentuating the sharpness of their expressions. Neither man moved, each waiting for the other to back down, but neither was willing to do so. Suddenly, a faint sound interrupted the standoff, a distant, almost inaudible hum that seemed to ripple through the air. Both men paused, their eyes flickering toward the water, then back at each other. The calm lake remained undisturbed, the mountains silent witnesses to their confrontation. But something about the hum felt strange, out of place, like a warning, or a signal they couldn't quite understand. "Did you hear that?" the man on the right asked, voice dropping into a whisper, suspicion creeping into his tone. "It's like a low vibration, like something's coming." The man on the left frowned, taking a slow sip from his mug. "Probably just the wind," he said dismissively, but even he sounded unsure. His eyes darted toward the horizon, where the mountains loomed, silent and unmoving. Then, unexpectedly, the hum grew louder, sharper. Both men instinctively stepped back from the railing, their eyes narrowing. The water in the lake seemed to ripple unnaturally, as if something beneath its surface was stirring. The distant mountains seemed to tremble ever so slightly, and the peaceful scene was suddenly charged with an ominous energy. In that moment, the man on the right clenched his fists, eyes darting around the landscape. "Something's not right," he said urgently. "I think we're not alone out here." The calm of the lake shattered, replaced by an eerie silence that was deafening. The two men stared at each other, realization dawning that whatever was coming was bigger than their argument, bigger than any HOA dispute. They were facing something unseen, something that threatened to change everything. And as the sun blazed down, casting stark shadows on the deck, a faint, shimmering ripple appeared on the water's surface, just at the edge of vision, like a secret waiting to be revealed. Neither man spoke, but both knew one thing for certain. The peace they thought they had was about to be broken, and whatever was coming would test them in ways they never imagined. The ripple on the water's surface grew shimmering like a thin veil of glass about to shatter. Both men stared in disbelief, their hearts pounding in unison as the faint disturbance multiplied, spreading outward like ripples from a stone thrown into calm waters. The usual serenity of the lake was gone, replaced by an unnatural tension. that seemed to crackle in the air. The distant mountains no longer looked silent. They seemed to pulse, almost alive, as if responding to some unseen force. The man on the right took a step back, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Did you see that? That ripple? Like something just broke through the surface. What the hell is happening?" His voice quivered, betraying the calm facade he desperately tried to maintain. The other man, still gripping his mug tightly, looked toward the water, then back at his companion. His face was set in a tight line, trying to process what was unfolding before him. "I don't know," he admitted quietly, voice strained. "But whatever it is, it's not normal. I've lived here all my life. I've seen storms, droughts, strange lights, but this feels different." Suddenly the water erupted, slowly at first, then with increasing force. A dark shadow emerged beneath the surface, twisting and writhing like a living thing. It broke through the water in a sudden surge, revealing a strange, shimmering form that defied explanation. It looked like a mass of tangled, glowing tendrils, shifting and pulsing with an eerie light. The shape hovered just above the surface, casting unnatural shadows onto the lake's calm waters. The men staggered back, instinctively shielding their eyes from the phenomenon. The figure hovered there for a moment, then seemed to ripple outward, dissolving into the air like smoke carried away by the wind. But the ripple remained, spreading out across the entire lake, distorting the reflection of the mountains and the sky. "Is this some kind of hallucination?" the man on the left muttered, voice barely audible. He blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of what he just saw. Or is something really out there? The other man clenched his fists, jaw tight. "Whatever it is, it's not from here," he said, voice filled with a tense certainty. "This isn't normal. It's like the lake's trying to tell us something or maybe warn us. I've got a bad feeling, like we're on the edge of something huge." The strange phenomena persisted, and the hum from earlier returned, louder now, vibrating through the air with an ominous drone. It was as if the entire landscape was responding to a disturbance from beyond. The mountains seemed to shimmer faintly, their peaks flickering as if caught in a flickering television signal. The water rippled again, and this time, a faint glow emanated from beneath the surface. Something alive, something powerful. Suddenly, the sky darkened. The bright, clear sunlight dimmed as a shadow swept across the mountains, blotting out the sun's warmth. The men looked up, and in that instant, they saw it. A swirling vortex forming high above, a twisting black whirlpool in the sky that seemed to pull at the very fabric of reality. It was as if the world was splitting open, revealing a glimpse of something beyond human comprehension. The man on the right yelled, "We need to get out of here. Something's not right. This isn't just nature, it's something else, something alien." The other man hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. "What if it's dangerous? What if we're not supposed to see this?" But the vortex was already expanding, the swirling dark mass growing larger, more intense. The wind picked up, whipping the trees and the loose debris on the deck into a frenzy. The water below raged, the ripples turning into waves that crashed against the shoreline. The entire scene was turning into chaos, an unearthly storm of light and shadow, swirling in a dance that defied logic. As the vortex reached its peak, a blinding flash erupted, illuminating the entire landscape in a burst of white-hot light. The men shielded their eyes, but when they looked again, everything had changed. The lake was calm once more, the mountains still and silent. The strange ripple was gone. The eerie hum had ceased. The sky was clear again, with only a faint shimmer remaining where the vortex had been. For a moment, silence reigned. Then the man on the left lowered his mug slowly, voice trembling. "Did you see that? Or was I imagining it?" The man on the right looked around, eyes searching the horizon, trying to find any sign of what they'd just witnessed. "Whatever it was, it's not over. I can feel it. Something's been awakened, and I don't think it's finished with us yet." They stared at each other, both knowing that the peaceful lake and mountains had been forever altered. Whatever had emerged from that mysterious vortex was not done revealing its secrets. The coming days would bring answers or chaos. Either way, they understood one thing with terrifying clarity. Nothing would ever be the same again. The silence hung heavily between them, thick and suffocating, as the two men stared out across the lake, each lost in their own frantic thoughts. The calm water reflected the bright blue sky, innocent and untouched. Yet beneath its tranquil surface, something had been awakened, something that refused to be ignored. The mysterious vortex had vanished as suddenly as it appeared, leaving behind only an unsettling sense of unease that clung to the air like a shadow. The man on the right broke the silence first, voice low and strained. "Did you feel that? Like a shift in everything? As if the world just tilted a little on its axis?" His eyes flicked nervously toward the shimmering spot where the vortex had been, as if expecting it to reappear at any moment. "We saw it. We can't pretend it didn't happen. Whatever that was, it wasn't normal. It wasn't natural." The man on the left nodded slowly, setting his mug down on the railing with a soft clink. His face was pale, eyes dark with a mixture of confusion and concern. "I've lived here for decades. I've seen strange things, yes, but this was something else. It felt like the lake itself was trying to tell us something or warn us. And I don't think we're done with whatever that was." A faint tremor of apprehension ran through both of them, but beneath that fear, a strange curiosity ignited, the kind that pushes people to seek answers even when they're terrified of what they might find. The landscape around them seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Suddenly, a faint, almost inaudible hum resumed, like a low, vibrating whisper carried on the wind. It was subtle at first, but it grew in intensity, resonating deep within their bones. Both men instinctively glanced at each other, eyes wide with alarm. The sound was unlike anything they'd ever heard, an alien melody that spoke of secrets buried beneath the surface. "Do you hear that?" the man on the right asked, voice trembling. "That hum? It's like the lake is still alive, still vibrating from what we saw." The man on the left took a cautious step forward, eyes narrowing as he listened intently. "It's as if the water itself is responding to something unseen," he said slowly. "The vortex might be gone, but whatever it unleashed, it's still here, lurking beneath the surface. Maybe it's waiting for the right moment to come back." A sudden jolt of movement beneath the water caused both men to step back instinctively. The lake's surface rippled again, but this time the ripples were different, more chaotic, almost frantic. Then from the depths a faint glow emerged, pulsating softly like a heartbeat. It was faint at first, but it grew brighter, illuminating the dark waters with an unnatural light that flickered like distant lightning. The glow spread outward, creating strange patterns that danced across the surface, twisting and turning in mesmerizing, hypnotic ways. The air grew thick with an electric charge that prickled their skin, raising goosebumps along their arms. The sense of something ancient and powerful awakening beneath the water intensified, and in that moment, both knew that what they had seen was only the beginning. "Whatever that was," the man on the right said quietly, "it's trying to communicate, or maybe it's just revealing itself. Either way, we can't ignore it anymore. Something has changed, and we're right in the middle of it." The other man's face was grim. "We need to figure out what we're dealing with fast. Because if that thing or entity or whatever it is decides to surface again, we might not be so lucky next time." As if in response, a distant rumbling echoed across the mountains, faint but unmistakable, like a low growl or a deep vibration resonating from the earth itself. The ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse in rhythm with the hum, and the water continued to glow intermittently, casting eerie shadows on the trees and rocks around them. They exchanged a glance, an unspoken agreement that whatever was happening, it was beyond their understanding, beyond any mundane problem they'd faced before. It was something primal, something terrifying, and perhaps something that was only just beginning to reveal its true nature. The bright sun above suddenly flickered, as if the sky itself was flickering in and out of existence, and a strange, almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere made the hairs on their necks stand on end. The lake's surface quivered again, and from the depths a faint, dark silhouette emerged. Slow, deliberate, like a shadow trying to push through the water's surface. It was too distant to see clearly, but its presence sent a shiver through both men. "Whatever's coming," the man on the left whispered, voice barely audible over the hum. "We need to be ready, because I don't think this is over. Not by a long shot." And as they stared across the lake, the shimmering glow flickered once more, hinting at something ancient and powerful lurking just beneath the surface. Something waiting patiently, watching, and perhaps preparing to reveal itself fully in the days to come. A cold gust of wind swept through the clearing, carrying with it an icy whisper that seemed to echo from the depths of the lake itself. The dark silhouette beneath the water had vanished as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving behind an ominous silence that pressed heavily on the shoulders of the two men. Their breaths came out in visible puffs, mingling with the mist that now curled around their ankles, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. The man on the right clenched his fists, his knuckles whitening as he stared intensely at the shimmering surface now strangely tranquil. "It's gone again," he said, voice trembling slightly. "Whatever that thing was, it disappeared. But I don't think we've seen the last of it, not by a long shot." His companion nodded slowly, eyes darting nervously across the landscape as if expecting another surprise at any moment. "No," he agreed, voice hushed and cautious. "That was just a warning. Something is stirring beneath the surface, something old, something powerful. I can feel it in my bones. Whatever it was, it's not finished with us yet." They stood there for a long moment, listening to the faint hum that still vibrated through the air, like the last dying notes of a strange, otherworldly song. The clouds above shifted, their dark shapes swirling ominously, casting fleeting shadows across the landscape. The sun, which moments ago had bathed everything in golden warmth, was now obscured behind thickening storm clouds, turning the sky a dull, foreboding gray. Suddenly, the water's surface rippled again, but this time with a different rhythm, less chaotic, more deliberate, as if some unseen force was trying to communicate in a language only it understood. The glow beneath the surface flickered brighter, casting strange, shifting shadows on the banks of the lake like fleeting phantoms. It was as if the very water was alive, pulsating with a heartbeat that resonated deep within the earth. The man on the left took a cautious step forward, feeling an inexplicable pull of curiosity and dread. "Whatever that was," he said softly, "it's more than just a creature or a force. It's something ancient, something that's been sleeping here for centuries, maybe longer, and I think it's waking up." His words hung in the air, heavy and ominous. The other man looked down at the water, eyes narrowing as he tried to decipher the strange patterns that seemed to dance just beneath the surface. "If it's waking," he whispered, "then we're already too late. We've crossed a line we shouldn't have. We've stirred something that might decide we're not worth the risk anymore." A sudden sharp crack of thunder echoed across the mountains, loud and startling, as if the very earth was protesting. The ground beneath their feet trembled slightly, a faint vibration that made their bones ache. The sky darkened further, and a deluge of rain suddenly began to fall, drumming loudly on the leaves and rippling the lake's surface with each drop. The storm had arrived, fierce and relentless, a furious tempest mirroring the chaos brewing beneath the calm exterior. In the midst of the storm, the water's glow intensified, illuminating the surroundings with an eerie phosphorescence. The ripples grew into waves, cresting and crashing against the shoreline, as if the lake itself was alive and angry. From the depths, a distant deep rumble emerged, low and resonant like the growl of a beast awakened from a long slumber. It vibrated through the air, through their bones, and into their very core. The men instinctively stepped back, instinctively, seeking shelter, yet their eyes remained fixed on the water. They felt a strange mixture of awe and terror. Whatever they had disturbed was awakening anew, and it was not pleased. The storm, the rumbling, the flickering shadows, all signs that something vast and incomprehensible had been stirred from its ancient slumber and was now fully alert. Then, amid the chaos, A sudden, deafening silence fell, as if the storm and the hum were holding their breath. The rain slowed, the wind died down, and the water's surface became still once more. But beneath the calm exterior, the lake seemed to hold its secrets tighter than ever, hiding something enormous just beneath the surface. The two men looked at each other, their faces pale but determined. They knew that whatever was coming next would change everything, perhaps forever. The ripple of the vortex, the awakening beneath the water, the storm, all of it was only a prelude. The real encounter was still ahead, lurking in the shadows of the unknown. And in that moment of tense silence, with the storm clouds swirling overhead and the lake holding its breath once more, they understood with chilling certainty that the ancient force they had disturbed was just beginning to reveal its true nature. Something beyond their comprehension, something waiting patiently in the depths, ready to emerge again when the time was right.